Hey, it's prime. We're 3 balls in and we 3 balls out. We all up on your screens like it's prime time's route. Mighty gets the score. Oh, and PJ start to scout. Your rhyme's really trash. What do you think he's damn fouls? TBI the show, so buckle down, sit back. And Jay we trust, cause he's the leader of the pack. It's prime. Jupiter.
This is TBI 3 balls in alongside Logan and Davo. This is your host PJs. We are back at it again. We are going to talk about the Vets Rooks first round matchups and how that went this past weekend. We're going to preview league week number 5 or week number 5 for Davo this coming week, as we got some big football, 3 games all at 8 a.m. And then we're going to talk about Name That Jew Baller, our new game that we found out was pretty good the first time around, so we want to do it again. But let's jump into it. How you boys doing?
I'm good. How about you? Glad to have you guys here.
Thank you so much for hosting, David.
I wonder if people are still playing the drinking game when they watch TBI.
You mean like continuously?
Like, yeah, I mean, why not?
Okay.
I've been drinking nonstop since
You're saying you've been drinking since season 1? Draft party?
Well, that would explain a lot.
Definitely since Tuesday night.
Well, let's jump into Vets Rooks first round matchups. We'll start with the Freshies game, where you had the S'mores versus the Freshies. And hey, listen, the Rooks, they put on an early matchup where it looked like Prey was going to take it away, hits Dobbs for a huge touchdown. And then, like we said in our preview last week, Dax and Zinn are just not containable. 3 unanswered touchdowns, 3-1 victory. The line of Open and Daxie, the cronies line, was all over Prey that entire game. Just something to keep in mind, maybe in the future, if the cronies find themselves in the playoffs. But let's go back to this game. Thoughts on the game? Were you shocked by the results?
I thought I was a little surprised by how low scoring it was. I thought both sides had weapons. I obviously predicted a much bigger margin of victory, but yeah, surprised that both teams weren't able to put the ball into the end zone more than they did. I think, a couple of red zone stalls, at least for the S'mores team. But I surprised, again, with the weapon power that you had in that game on both sides. Kind of surprised at low scoring, but
and
still a hell of a game.
Some drops also, right? Like
uncharacteristic drops.
Yeah, like he had Ernie early in the game for a touchdown, and then it was
that one. I thought was a hard.
It was definitely not an easy catch.
It was,
but it's one of those where Ernie has kind of gained a reputation this season of a guy who is clutch to make those hard catches, but didn't come through. Davo, I guess Dax didn't have a problem with his substitutions in the end, right?
Well, no, because Zinn made the substitution.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Also, like Ernie just got to shake it off and he'll be fine. I'm looking at the stats, and the first thing that I realized is that I think the Freshies had more players on their team than the juniors and seniors had in our game.
That's a really good point.
Thank you, Storm, for stepping in. Also, you just look at all these players, and there's so many great players on both sides. I thought the game would be close. I think the S'mores had the game, and they dropped the ball, no pun intended. They had it, but they just couldn't push it in. And ultimately, if you let a team hang around too long, they're just gonna come back, and the Freshies won, and they got things going. They hit their stride, and S'mores can't let that happen. So
caps off to the Freshies. They did their job. They showed up. They played well. Got everyone in the game, and they made a contest.
Prairie will have an easy one next year, so it's not a big deal for him.
Going now to the other side, where you have the juniors versus the seniors, there was chaos even before the game started. And that is, you had Snow possibly dropping out last minute, wasn't feeling well. And then you had, Tabak had to get out early. Tabak had to get out of the game as well, had some type of family emergency type of thing. Hope everything's okay with Tabak. And just, you hope
people on the field.
You had to get Storm to play, your own trying to call people around to see who can play. Like, it was a mess, right? Even to start the game, show up there, game doesn't start on time. But listen, I think that was so metaphorically correct for a Vets game. For some of us who lived in the dark ages, who lived through the dark ages, it was kind of reminiscent of like, maybe it was going to be a 6-on-6 game at one point. But thank God we're in this new era, right? We're in the golden age right now because I got like you said, Storm stepped in, played, right? Like you end up being a 7-on-7. Tom started at quarterback, which we'll get to momentarily for the seniors. But at the end of the day, it happened. The game happened. We all have to just be appreciative of the fact the game happened. Jordan came back, his first game back from an injury we all thought might have taken him out for the season. He did not let the prognosis get in the way of him playing. Jordan was back in this game. My first game back in a while. So it was just nice to be back out there. But the game happens. The third play of the game, Yaron throws a ball right to Tom, who takes it back for a touchdown, 1-0. And as a player, as both of us were players in this game, feeling like things were going in our direction, there was no stopping us. We stopped them again. We go on an offensive drive. Tom throws a pick. Next drive, we stop them again. Next drive, Tom throws a pick. And then Zada over Jordan for a touchdown where they had like 1st and 10 at the 10-yard line, 1st and goal at the 10-yard line. And now it's a 1-1 game. And Snow finally shows up. And I give kudos to Snow because he could have just said, I'm not showing up. But like he got himself together, whatever his issue was, showed up, warmed up on the sideline. And you're feeling like, okay, we got our quarterback now. You know, Tom did a serviceable job. Snow will come in, but it just never clicked. The play calls weren't there. The play calls weren't good enough, unfortunately. The execution of the plays didn't work out. It was a lot of, I'll be honest with you, like I don't want to be critical, but it was easily readable by the defense. Like they could easily see what the play was. It was going to be a dump off to Tom every time or a screen to Mighty. There was no creativity to the offense. And to be honest with you, he had guys open. Steve-O was open on a bunch of plays. He tried hitting Jordan on a deep route that I think was at out and up and misfire. Did get a touchdown at the end to make it a 3-2 game, but Yaron was too good. But listen, give a lot of credit to Yaron. He threw that early pick, threw another early pick also. But the fact that he stayed in that game, rallied his troops, won the game. Your thoughts on the game? Shocked?
I'm not shocked. I mean, had we known that you were only going to get Snow for 50% of the game, and then the other 50%, and then you'd get him, he'd only be playing at 50%. I think our predictions might have gone differently. Obviously, no one could have known that was going to happen. But from the sound of it, it just seems like while Snow made a valiant effort, and I'm sure his teammates really appreciated him showing up, even though he wasn't feeling 100%. When you're not 100%, the product on the field is going to suffer, both in terms of your level of play and just how the team's gonna play, especially the quarterback position. And credit to the juniors for taking advantage of that. Tom, not his fault. He used to be a quarterback. He played quarterback in Jubal for many years, but when you don't have the reps week in and week out, shaking off some of that rust, especially when you're not expecting it, like just finding out something, that's tough. That Tom was appreciated what he did, but that's a really tough position to be put in. So again, kudos to the juniors. They played a good game, and it's going to be a very interesting finals. We don't need to preview it now, but bragging rights go to the juniors and the freshies.
Two best teams got there. Davo, I know you're not happy with the results, but thoughts on the game?
Davo's upset about a loss? What?
Why do you think we're filming tonight? He took him a couple days to get over it.
I had to lose him.
Right.
What you could see is that the more prepared team showed up. Even though they didn't have enough players, they still showed up. I think everyone had a game plan going in that was executed very well. The seniors did not. I think that the seniors just relied on old cue ball tactics, which just doesn't translate into today's game. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, obviously it's a tough loss, but again, with the two best teams are in the championship, we'll preview that game in a few weeks from now. But let's get into the games everybody wants us to talk about, and that is League Week number 5, and it's finally here. And the beauty is we got League Week number 6 next week. The season is flying by right now. We're going to be talking about playoffs shortly, but before we can even get there, let's talk about maybe what's considered the featured game of the week, and that is the Cronies playing the Crocs. You got a fill-in quarterback versus Snow. Let's talk about this game. Logan, want to break it down?
Yeah, we'll do it like we always do and talk about the three components here. So looking at QB, you've got Snow versus Wildman. And, Wildman's a bit of an unknown, although he has played one game against the Crocs in a league game a couple weeks back. And he did find some rhythm late in that game. But when you're talking about a known versus an unknown, especially in Jew ball, it's very, very hard to kind of favor the unknown, even if he did find some chemistry towards the end of that game. So I'm going to give the advantage to the Crocs here and give Snow the leg up. When looking at line, we've got Kut, Dobbs, Tom, and Sam versus Open and Daxi. And, I know that the Crocs have some seasoned vets, and even so, they have the ability to even swap out guys for fresh legs. But even if you take that in consideration, Open and Daxi is a killer young combo. These guys are playing really, really well, especially like you said last week. And I do think that those two are going to give Snow real issues. I'm going to give the strong advantage to the cronies here. Lastly, wide receiver corner group: Zin, Rook, BK, and Veg versus Jordan, Zada, Storm, Tommy, and PJs. This is like a really, really tight secondary race. But Jordan still isn't 100%. Tommy has to prove that he can show up to games. Sorry, buddy. Love you. Rook and BK are playing great ball, and Zin is Zin. I'm going to give the advantage to the Crocs here. I can't really see it another way. Looking to the prediction to this game, I think there's going to be another close game, but I think this will come down to the battle of the line. And like I said before, I really think that Open Daxi gives Snow a hard time here. So I do think that I do see that the cronies come away with a victory here. I do think that's, unfortunately for Snow, he's not going to have the game he wants to have because of that line play. I think a low scoring 3-2 win for the cronies.
Davo, your thoughts on the game?
Well, it's like you said, a featured matchup of the week. As Logan so elegantly broke it down, that we have Weeder going up against the Crocs again. Now Weeder obviously shaking up rust. I would have loved to see him maybe try to get into a game in between these starts that he can continue what he was trying to shake off.
We're lucky we got him to play a game. Never mind one in between, but I hear you.
Listen,
I hear you.
I'm greedy. But I think he played with a better team last time that he was here. The line of the dogs versus the line of the cronies are very similar. You're talking about 1A, 1B. Either way, arguments can be made for both sides. Receiver wise, you're talking about having Mighty, who's on pace for 1 million touchdowns this season. Not going to have those weapons. Also, defensively, he's not going to have those weapons. We're there to pick off Snow 5 times in that last game. But Dove is also coming off 2 straight losses. The third to last game was against Weeder, where he did throw 5 picks. And he's coming off of 2 bad losses in Vets, and the loss to the Cobras. At the end of the day, I think the line of Open and Daxi gives Weeder enough time. And he does still have good weapons. Storm is a weapon. Tommy could be a weapon. Zada's still sometimes a good player. Jordan is recovering. PJs can catch if he can, get balls thrown to him. I think it could be a good game. At the end, I'm going to go like a 3-2, 4-3 victory for the cronies. Which I think is huge for them because they're kind of on that bubble after losing Gronk. Are we going to make the playoffs? Are we not going to make the playoffs? Are we tanking this season? Are we not tanking this season? And if you look back, I said that if they can get a good quarterback, this could be a very dangerous team. So if they can get Weeder to stick and to be happy, watch out for the cronies. I'm going to say that now.
Okay, I mean, Davo, interesting you both picked the cronies. I'm on the cronies. Clearly not going to pick against my team. But this is a really important matchup, which is why we said it's a featured matchup, because I don't know if any of us brought this up yet. but this is also possibly going to decide the number 2 seed. Now, I know it's not going to decide it for the playoffs yet because we still have the last week, but the potential winner of this game is going to move into the second place spot for a couple of reasons. Number one, point differential. Number two, it's the record and based on who you played and who you won. So right now, you think about this game, it means a lot to both teams. And you made a great point. Can our team really, really rebound from the loss of Gronk? We're picking up the wild man, and it is going to be wild with the wild man because we just don't know, what type of quarterback is going to show up. Is he going to have the rapport with the receivers? Is he going to know that Storm is a reigning defending MVP, despite being told that in a chat? Will he know that on the field? Will he know, there's certain, he's not going to have the rhythm and the experience with the players. The hope is that he could pick this up as the game goes on. A little bit of same play with Gronk. Maybe it's just that should be the strategy for Sunday. Whereas don't worry so much about going deep or having these great plays, but worry about maybe connecting to the receivers who are open. Look for the open guy. But I think there's an aspect of this game that neither one of you mentioned. The Lions are going to get and put pressure on. I know Open and Dax are going to be great, but I know the Cookie and Dobbs are no slouches themselves. The Lions will put pressure on the quarterbacks. I think the area of this game that matters the most for both teams on defense, because both teams have really good back-end defense, is going to be in the middle of the field. Which linebacking cores are going to be better? And right now you have potentially Zada and myself in the middle versus maybe Tom and Dobbs or some type of formation of BK and Tom, or again, I don't want to strategize on how they're going to plan that defense out, but there'll be some type of mixture with different players in that defensive zone where it's going to come down, I think, to the linebackers making the play. Snow's going to want to hit Zinn on slants. He's going to hit Zinn on those screens. Can the linebackers get there and make the play? And for the other team, Weeder's going to look for the open guy. If the middle of the field is open, I don't know if the middle of the field defense on the Crocs is fast enough to get to a guy like Storm, fast enough to get to a guy like Zada, fast enough to get to a guy like Jordan. So I think it's going to come down to the middle of the field. Whichever team can take advantage of the middle of the field, or whichever defense does not play astute defense there, I think that's the advantage. So my personal opinion is we're going to win this game. I see us winning 4-3. I think it's going to be a tightly contested game. I do believe the Crocs are showing up, and they're going to be great. I just think that the cronies will find a way. All right, let's shift to the next game. The other 8 a.m. Well, there's 2 other 8 a.m. games, but I think we'll go to the game that I think is quite interesting, is Bop versus the Lionhearts. And the reason why this is an interesting game is that if the Lionhearts lose, they will move into last place, potentially in the standings. So, Logan, you want to break it down?
Yeah, and I will actually disagree. I don't think this game is interesting at all, and you'll hear it in the breakdown. So we've got Yaron versus Prey in quarterback. Yaron's got 54 touchdowns for 32 interceptions. That's an average of 1.69 TDs per pick. He's got 54 touchdowns in 20 games. That's an average of 2.7 touchdowns per game. Prey, 55 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. So that's 3.23 touchdowns for every interception, and 55 touchdowns in 19 games. That's 2.89 TDs per game. First of all, before we even go down to who's better, these two combined have played 39 games.
Wow.
I think we really should just be thankful and admiring and really giving credit to each of those guys for playing just about every single week. They essentially have both of them have played a full season, and we still have games in front of us. So kind of a big round of applause, if you will, for those two quite literal weekend warriors. But when you're comparing the two, the stats, both TDs, interceptions, and TDs per game, are on the side of Prey, and that's not even taking into consideration what he does on defense. No offense to your own here, but this to me is a no-brainer. Bop has the advantage. I'm going with Prey. Moving over to the line, we've got Beast and Bert versus DK and Davo. And, all season, I've been picking against the Bop line, but I really, really like this matchup for DK and Davo. So I'm going advantage Bop here. I think Bop line plays big and plays strong. So advantage to the Bop here. And then wide receiver corner, Yaron is still doing a little bit of recruiting. I know that he's got Star Fox and Robin. So that's got them shaking in their boots. By them, I mean Lionhearts. And then we got Iceman, Herb, Tabak, Fight, and Justin. Honestly, it doesn't really matter to me who Yaron picks up. He could take Calvin Johnson smoking weed before games if he wants, but it still doesn't matter. I still going to take the secondary and the wide receiver core of Bop. So I've got Bop taking the advantage there. And then prediction, I think this is a real easy win for Bop. It could even be as lopsided as like a 6-1 victory. But I see Bop walking away undefeated after this game.
Wow. Davo.
Hey. I think Logan pretty much summed it up. Apparently I have stats in front of me also now. I think just if you look on every level, the way that the Lionhearts are probably, as it stands now, going to be depleted for their roster. I think it's going to be very tough for them in a tough game as it is anyways.
Yeah.
Right. At full strength, it's a tough game for them.
Right. I think Yaron has been playing great. I think in the beginning of the season he wasn't there, but I think he's been picking it up recently, and I think he's been playing great. I'd like to thank you for finally giving us credit one time. I'll take it. He meant the line. That's what he just would make face. Per score, we can say, let's say 5-2.
You think Lionheart score 5?
Yeah. Listen, it's I think this game has potential. I hate to call it a trap game because, like, in Jubal, any given Sunday, there's still good players on their team, but I think it's just
5-2.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think any of us are going to disagree with you there. I'm with you guys here. I think it's a 6-2 victory for Bob. Listen, this is not going to be an easy game for your own. I mean, right now, obviously Prime is not playing this week, which hurts them a little bit. But I say a little bit only because there's just so much talent right now. You're talking about Iceman and Ivry at the corners of Prey at safety. You're talking about a line of DK and Davo. The middle of the field ain't so shabby themselves. So you could put Ernie at corner. You could put, Ernie at middle linebacker. You could put Tabaka at middle linebacker. You could put Tabaka corner. Like, you could do so many things. You could go 4 across and have Prey blitz. Like, there's so much you can do to basically just disrupt Yaron's timing without Jack, without Morty Dax, without stats. So, I mean, these are tremendous losses for Yaron in this game. There's just no shot, honestly. Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't show up and play. They should. And, like you said, maybe they shocked the world, and maybe this is a trap game for you guys, but I don't see your undefeated streak losing this week. I think it's going to be a victory for the Bop, and you guys will go on to 5-0, and Lionheart's going to move into last place of the standings. Let's shift into our final game of the week, and that is Cobras versus Dogs. Cobras on the up now after getting a huge win over the Crocs. Their season's still alive. They go against the team and the Dogs that are, struggling a little bit here to get some wins. What do we think, Logan? Break down this game.
All right, let's do it. QBs, you got Dax versus Perla. Dax is 30 touchdowns and 16 interceptions for 1.88 TDs per interception. He's got 30 TDs in 9 games, 3.3 touchdowns per game. Perla, 21 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, so 1.6 touchdowns for every interception, and then 21 TDs in 8 games. That gets him to 2.62 touchdowns per game. When you look at QBs, you've got a very, very similar number of games, so your sample size, you don't have that sample bias. You can really, really rely on what the numbers are telling you. It's telling us that Dax plays better than Perla. That may be a little bit of a product of some of his teams, right? He just played with the Freshies and put up some good numbers, but doesn't really matter. They've each played about 8 or 9 games. The stats speak for themselves. So I'm giving the advantage to the Dogs here, especially with Dax coming off that really, really great second half of last week's game. Moving to the line, we got Legs, Big O, and Salem versus Solo, Sphera, Whiskey, and Big E. And I would say this is one of the most evenly matched lineups that we have. Basically, Legs is playing on his level, Solo's playing on his level, Sphera, Whiskey, Big E, Salem, Big O. Like, these guys are all relatively evenly matched. But because Legs has been elevating his game to this what we like to call Legs level, Big O's got those long ass arms, and he's great at grabbing flags. I'm going to give the slight advantage, ever so slight advantage to the dogs, but really this to me it could be a pick 'em. And then when you look at wide receivers, you got Mighty, Ross, Steve-O, and Blitz versus Goldberg, Sheriff, MK, and Mike. And again, this is a another really tight matchup, and quite frankly, all three categories you could argue either side, and I don't think you'd be crazy for saying one or the other. But when you have such a tight matchup here in the wide receiver crew, I'm going to give the advantage to who's got the best player. And quite frankly, the best player on the field on Sunday for this game is going to be Mighty. So I'll say dogs, but it is stupid close how good these two teams are in terms of their matchups. And then despite the dogs having the advantage, at least that I've laid out in all three categories, you might think it'd be a blowout. I actually think this is going to be a really close contested game, and I actually see it being very close. Again, despite the advantage going all 3 to 1 team, I see the dogs coming away with a 4-3 victory. But this is a super competitive game. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes 4-3 the other way. But I've got the dogs up by 1.
Davo.
I will argue in the fact that I think the Cobras do have the better receivers, and I will tell you why. I think the Sheriff is probably right now the most underrated player in Jubal. In most seasons, he would be on track for Rookie of the Year. This year, he's very closely behind the front runner in Yonio, Iceman. You're talking about a guy who's averaging almost a touchdown a game, half a pick a game, and his ability and his connection with Perla, and to elevate Perla himself in playing, I think gives him a tremendous advantage. As well as the last time we seen the Cobras full team come, which is only once this season, they did pulling off a big victory against the Crocs that almost nobody saw coming except for PJs. So I do agree with you that it's very close. But there's one thing that I keep coming back to at the end of this, turmoil that I have of who to win, and that comes down to Dax, and only Dax. It's not Dax versus Perla. It's not Dax versus Solo. It's just on Dax himself. Now, Dax has an IQ that is very high in the fact that he will be able to pick apart, I think, the Cobra's defense. I think he just knows where to be, where to throw it. He'll get his receivers there. I think this game comes all down to Dax. If he plays terribly, then I think it'll be very close. I think he plays very well, and I see like a 4-2, 5-2 victory in dogs. If they can get to him and they can rattle him, all bets are off. Then the Cobras have full chance of winning, but I think Dax is just too much for the Cobras in this game, and I think the dogs come away with it.
I'm going to teach you guys a lesson right now, and that is do not sleep on these Cobras. They are a team to be reckoned with when they have their full roster, and I am certainly not picking against them this week. I believe they're going to shock the world one more time, go toe-to-toe with Dax and Mighty and Legs, and they're going to take them down the way they need to be taken down. That is a 4-3 victory. Perla, once again, finding his routes to his players, to his receivers, finding them open, and getting touchdowns to Mike, getting touchdowns to Sheriff, and getting touchdowns to Goldberg, and even a touchdown for MK. So I believe the Cobras...
You spread it out, one for each receiver.
One for each receiver.
Look at you.
I really believe that Perla is healthy. I had a little bit something to do with the fact he wasn't healthy. So I really believe he is healthy and he is ready to roll. The Perla that we all saw last year, that we fell in love with when he came on TBI, that Perla is back, and that Perla is ready to dominate. It's a 4-3 victory for the Cobras. And dogs, you may be looking outside the playoff window with this loss. Just saying. All right, boys, we're gonna bring back the show that everybody enjoyed week number 1.
Hug of the week.
Yeah.
Grandmakers?
Expose yourself. I knew it. We're back, baby. We're back.
Go
Oh, you're-
You went sleeveless here, so you're exposing your arms. There you go.
No, he actually came in. He put a shirt on,
But I believe that. But here's the thing:
not the pants though.
we are bringing back Name That Jew Baller. Are you boys ready?
We're ready.
All
You
right.
won 1-1
I'm
last
never
week.
ready.
Let's see if we can.
This Jew Baller. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
5 games this season. He's averaging, not averaging. He's just under 1 touchdown per game, 4 touchdowns in 5 games receiving, and 1 defensive interception. So 5 games, no cheating, no stats. Turn your stats over.
I'm just writing down. So 5 games, 4
5
TDs,
games, 4 TDs,
1 pick.
1 pick this season.
Does he have any throwing touchdowns?
No.
No throwing.
No, that's
touchdowns.
it. That's all the stats. That's all he has. He has no sacks. He has no. He's got nothing else.
4 touchdowns and a pick. 5 games.
Can I ask you what his record is?
1-4.
Talking about a loser. No offense.
Wow.
You're talking about
I
a
mean,
guy.
he's got 4 touchdowns in 5 games. I wouldn't call him a loser.
I mean,
How many games has Jack played? Jack would have been was a thought in my head.
well, that would make sense because they'd be one.
How many games have? Oh no, Prime
Fox.
Star Fox. Could be Fox.
He probably played about 5 games.
Let's. What about Sheriff? How many picks does Sheriff have?
Sheriff has 4.
4 picks.
5 picks. 5 picks.
Oh, it's
9
not
games.
Sheriff.
And 7 touchdowns.
What about Ross?
No, I like Fox. Fox had that 3 touchdown game. He's played.
Does he have a lot of losses though?
Yeah, because he plays for the Lionhearts.
All right.
Oh no! But he had a win on Sunday, so I would give him 2 wins.
No. Oh yeah.
I would give him.
But
2
maybe he
wins.
hasn't won with Lion. No, he did win.
He won. He won that the first
How
one.
many-
He had 3 touchdowns.
Okay, so let's think. We need someone else who's a big impact player when they play, but they just don't play that much.
A big impact player when they play, but they just don't play that much.
It's not a riddle. It's just a. What gets wetter, the more it dries.
Talent.
Need an answer in 30 seconds.
All right.
boys.
So
now
you don't think it's Star Fox? You do.
I really liked when you said Jack.
What about Irv? Oh no, Irv is 1 too much. He's on Bop.
Yes, correct. Irv's never lost a game. I think he's also
This
played-
season?
Yeah, I think he's only played 3.
What about Storm? Oh no, he's played way too much.
Yeah. Robin? No, but Robin's no time.
How many games has Jordan played?
Ooh, Jordan. Could be 5, right? He's been out since
It
like
could be
week-
5. He got
He's
hurt.
been out since like weeks 3 or 4, 5. He
Yeah.
played 1 last week, so could play a double,
Has he won 2 games? That's the real question. He lost last week.
right? He played for the.
He definitely
Crows.
lost in the Cronies game. You want to say Jordan?
The question is, do they count Jordan's game when he played?
Yeah, it does.
For Brody, or when he only played a little bit. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
Need an answer, boys.
okay. What do you? Who?
Jordan.
Let's go with Jordan.
The answer is stats.
Oh, stats is 4 touchdowns.
To 4 touchdowns in 5 games and an interception.
Wow.
I was thinking it had to be someone on the Lionheart.
All right, let's go. So we're 0-1. Let's go with the next
You were
one.
close with Fox though, and Jack. They're
We
both
weren't
Lionheart.
close. We either got it or we didn't. It's black and white.
You're still.
All right.
They were right there. They were drafting
our-
right.
Our next Jew Baller.
Mhm.
This one he's played a lot of games. 17 games this season.
Okay.
He's got 3 reception touchdowns, 4 sacks, 3 defensive interceptions,
How many? 3.
and 2 pick sixes. So I'll
So
say it again.
2 out of his 3 picks are pick sixes.
4 sacks,
4 sacks is the number that's gonna
3
that's gonna-
touchdowns, and has played in 17 games, and he has not thrown a touchdown.
Correct. So a lot of games, but he's got 4 sacks, so he must play the line or
fir-
the third rusher.
The first person that came to my mind was Dobbs. Dobbs played.
Has he played 17 games?
That's the question.
That's a lot.
But when Dobbs does play, he plays a lot of both because he drives so far away. So Jordan tends to give him both.
Oh, that's an interesting. That's 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's a lot.
Right. So that's not so crazy. We're
I
at
think it's a lot for Dobbs.
We're at week 16,
I
17,
know.
something like that.
I think it's.
But then you also have to take off 2 weeks that we didn't play.
I think it's
So
a
we're
lot
really
for
at week
Dobbs.
like 14.
I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of games for Dobbs, and I don't think Dobbs has 2 pick sixes.
Dobbs has been active on the
He's been
defensive
up.
side.
Look, we can put a pin in Dobbs, but I don't feel Dobbs on that one.
Does he have any thrown interceptions?
No. Those are his only stats.
No. He just said he doesn't have any thrown touchdowns. Does he have any thrown interceptions?
He has 2 thrown.
Well, this is a fucking clue. You're not supposed to hide details.
I need to hide it.
You see
How much?
2
2 thrown
picks.
interceptions.
MK. That would be my guess.
The number of games makes sense,
right? He had a pick 6.
Yeah,
and he had
wait, but he only has 3 receiving touchdowns. He had 3 in one game, didn't he? That rain game, didn't he have 3? That's his only touchdown the whole season.
Could be.
Could it?
My question is, did he throw a touchdown for?
No, I don't think he's throwing a touchdown.
Did he throw touchdowns for the Crocs? I mean, for the Cobras in that game.
What about Fight? Does Fight have any pick sixes? I think 17 is also
Fight
a lot of games.
did play 17 games.
Yeah, that's a lot of games. I like your MK route.
And 17 games is a lot for MK though. I think. I don't think it's him.
You don't.
2 picks.
Well, what about Tom? How many games has Tom played?
He
He definitely has at least a pick 6. He plays the middle.
and he could have played a lot of games.
He could have played a lot of
and
games.
he just threw 2 picks. I think I like Tom better.
You
than
like
MK.
Tom? All right, let's go find out.
And you said 4 sacks.
4 sacks.
Tom plays the line, and he could.
I could go with Tom.
I can go with Tom.
All right, let's go with Tom.
You guys are 1-1 again. All right. Good job, everybody.
Bubba.
Good job. All right. Well, that's it. All right, boys. This was a great show.
Always is.
Dave, what should they do this week?
We have to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. I heard a great thing that if you create more email addresses and you like and share and subscribe, we get more subscribers and more views and more likes. And so just create as many fake email addresses from different IPs addresses, and let's go. What else do you have to do? Sick Play Initiative is about to take off. Guys, it is not too late to get involved. Even if you don't want to get involved, but you still want to do it on your own, power to you. And we hope you can do that as well. There are no signups this week for playing, but there is the sign up for the Jew Ball Super Bowl Barbecue Bonanza. Even if you're not playing, even if you haven't played in a while and you just watch TBI because you want to support Jew Ball in your own ways, come on down. There'll be plenty of food and refreshment, but there will be no bagels. We'll enjoy it. It's an amazing time. There'll be a whole bunch of teams that'll have won beforehand. They'll feel great. But if they don't feel great, you can drink away the pain. Guys, league leaks, however you want to pronounce it. I would say come support your team, but it looks like all the teams are full except for the Lionhearts. Guys, be better. Show up for your team.
We need 3 refs.
Oh, that's right. If you want a ref, come on down. Let Jordan know, and we could use you.
Refs get free shots all day.
All right, boys. What are we?
3 balls in.
We're now 3 balls out. Have a great week, everybody.
So, I like your analysis. I like a lot of things about you. You're a great guy.
I love your sweatshirt.
Thank you. Suck peaches. But
We had a little hiatus.
It doesn't count.
Why? Because we had a hug of the week
did we have an episode last week?
Yeah, we did have an episode.
Did
last
we?
week. Yeah, we did.
last week.
Yeah, we did. We had an episode last week.
Oh yeah,
So good.
been too long. It's a Wednesday.
Let's go back again. Let's zoom that back. Boys, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm good. We had a little hiatus.
You know, I wonder if people still play the drinking game when they watch TBI.
All right, let's go back. Let's go back. All right, boys, how you doing?
Good. Good to be here.
I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me. What also
What's on the
Hey,
computer?
you really have
What's on the
a sheet of
computer?
paper and a computer.
And you don't have my stats.
I don't have.
He's like, I don't have the
He's
numbers.
like campaigning for Mighty to win the MVP since like the preseason.
No, I've been on that train too.
We all been on that train, but
Yeah.
still, you don't have Mighty
Me?
stats there.
No, you've been on Prey. He's been on Prey. also.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, I did love that though. I don't know the numbers in front of me, dude.
Great humor, though.
So good.
Um,
Like an arrow, like things.
like Mighty, who's on pace for like 1 million touchdowns this season.
We 3 balls out. We all up on your screens like it's prime time sprout.